So on a serious note, we talked about the Black Hawk American Airlines collision yesterday. And you would think that the more time that has gone by, the more details that have emerged, it would make a little bit more sense. And instead, I feel the opposite has happened. The more that we see, the more information that we get, it just leaves you scratching your head going, what the hell is going on? And so with this, we have some new angles here. And one of them is basically it shows the Black Hawk helicopter heading directly toward, here it is, directly towards the American Airlines plane. Directly. I'm going to need for you guys, Stephen, if you could play that again when it play it one more time here. So the Black Hawk, I believe, is to the left.
Yep.
The American Airlines plane is to the right. And it just boggles the mind how this could happen on a clear night, as President Trump has already stated that it was. And so we've got that questionable clip. You've got the fact that we know that the helicopter that seemed to be barreling full speed ahead into the plane flew outside of its approved flight path. Okay, Donald Trump tweeted out, or he posted on Truth Social, it went to Twitter, that the Black Hawk helicopter was flying too high by a lot. It was far above the 200-foot limit. That's not really too complicated to understand, is it? And I want to say in this moment, I very much appreciate President Trump's transparency here, because that is what the American people need. And he has been very transparent since the moment it happened, in blasting this and saying we have to get to the bottom of this. So the helicopter was, I believe, close to 400 feet above the ground rather than 200, a half a mile off of its path, its intended path. You know where my head's going, right?
May I?
Go ahead.
Look, I think I know where your head is going. I've known you for a long time, and it should go there, because at this point, all variables and all options have to be investigated. That's true forensic investigation. It's not just chalk it up to, well, we think we know. We now really need to look. And look, human error is always an element when you operate any piece of equipment.
Yeah.
I know a friend that cut 3 of his fingers off with his lawnmower. Yeah. Okay, I mean, so there's human error, but a half a mile on a clear night, I'm just saying, it's not completely out of reach that some of the comments online was this intentional? It's not, and then if so, why? And I'm not with the conspiracy and the Tanya Harding stuff and all the crazy stuff. But this is a 90-degree angle, direct impact,
right,
which we now know, and we've heard that the traffic controller says, do you see the CRJ, Central Regional Jet? Do you see it? Are you passing behind it?
So
no.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's go ahead and play air traffic control, which, by the way, I do want to remind everyone, we talked about this yesterday. They had like 19 people instead of the recommended 30. They were completely understaffed. The budget was cut. And of course, you know, FAA is worried about hiring black people rather than hiring whoever is most qualified to guide a plane to land without freaking crashing and killing people. So we now know, before I play this, we know that night an air traffic controller was left to handle both helicopter traffic and manage planes, which is supposed to be 2 people, not 1.
Separate channels as well.
Right. Separate channels and separate people. And apparently a supervisor decided to combine those duties before the scheduled cutoff time that they usually have, which is 10 a.m. until 9:30 p.m. And they allowed one of the air traffic controllers to leave work early. It is unknown at this time why. But the FAA has already said that staffing configuration was not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic. And so here is what Jaco is referring to, like, hey, do you have the CRJ in sight? Like, what's going on? Here's that exchange. Watch.
Pass 25, get the CRJ in sight. Pass 25, pass behind the CRJ. Good separate.
American 4782 by Bath number individual.
American 472, Washington Star, 1 star, 32017.
All right, this is Wentz. Did you see that? District 5305, I assume you saw that over by our house.
Affirmative.
Eric, your thoughts?
Look,
I'm rarely speechless.
Everybody, especially understanding that there's always seeming to be, when something big or major happens, shenanigans at play. Now, we do have a different president who, this is one of the times where I think everybody appreciates the fact that, which people were very critical of Trump of, basically just saying whatever's on his mind or saying, basically live tweeting, essentially.
Yeah.
This is a great time for him to be doing that because, for one, you're talking about a lot of lost lives, but also this is a very bizarre thing. I think one of the core things we need to be discussing is this isn't just some, I don't know, chopper trying to cover traffic, right? This is someone that's operating this chopper that's, they're supposed to be the best of the best, right? He's a militaryman, right? And to make an error that critical, to your point, Jaco, human error is a thing. But when you look at all the variables at play, who was driving it, the fact that this person, when you saw that second angle, which I didn't see until this morning, right, that it looks like it's literally heading at it. I don't know how he doesn't see it. Look, I'm sorry.
There's no way.
It doesn't
There's
make
no
sense,
way.
Sarah. It doesn't make sense.
There's no way.
It doesn't make
There
sense.
is no way. And now, by the way, I mean, you can't discount. I still, DEI is still a big portion of this because all the air traffic stuff, the FAA, they've got a lawsuit out right now. Obviously, we need air traffic controllers who are there to, we want the best of the best when it comes to guiding planes, giant metal tubes in the middle of the sky, carrying hundreds of people sometimes, down to the ground. We want the best of the best. But with this added video, it's like, I mean, I understand if someone has an intention that they're in the middle of the sky, no one's going to stop them. But it still didn't sound like anyone knew what the hell to do. I mean, you could have tried to guide the AA flight, I guess. I don't know how quickly all of this happens.
Yeah,
but you had one person doing two people's jobs. You're not hiring based off of merit. You're hiring based off of, Eric, you weren't here yesterday. You were. We went through some of the test that they give. That's like, do you like to show up on time? Do you it was intentionally discrediting people who valued hard work and merit-based stuff. It was scoring them lower.
Right.
And it was scoring people higher who had been unemployed for a certain amount of time, who weren't who didn't have work ethic. It was putting those people to the top. Right. And the obvious reason, because they're in a lawsuit about it, was because they were trying to be less white. Right. Which I said yesterday in and of itself is totally racist. It's very racist to give them a test and be like, do you value hard work? Oh, you do. You must be white. So I'm not discrediting that part of it. But I can't come to any other conclusion other than how do you walk away from watching that video and not say that had to be intentional?